Hi, my name is Jimmy Williams with NFL Draft Diamonds, and we're the scouting staff for the Hula Bowl. Today, I have with me one of the athletes who participated in that event this season. His name is Spencer Waege. He's a defensive lineman out of North Dakota State. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, nice to see you again. I mean, obviously saw you at the Hula Bowl. You're one of the guys that we really wanted to have there, and a whole lot's changed for you, man. I mean, I feel like your stock is really rising, and who knows, man? I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing you drafted here soon. So, but before we get rolling, for those that haven't met you yet, go ahead and give us a little bit of background for you. I mean, tell us where you're from and just walk us through the journey a bit.
Yeah, so like you said, my name's Spencer Waege. I played defensive end at North Dakota State. Was there for 6 years. Originally is from South Shore, South Dakota. I grew up on a farm, so football has just kind of always been my dream, my passion, and I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity to play at the Hula Bowl and kind of keep continuing in my football journey.
Cool. So South Dakota, some farm out in South Dakota. How big was your high school, man? I mean, the one that you attended. I mean, tell us about you
Yeah,
as a high
so
school athlete.
So for South Dakota, I mean, it was in the biggest class. I actually drove 20 minutes to get to my high school in Watertown,
Hmm.
and I graduated with just under 300 kids.
That's that, that's not bad. I mean, I think for that area. I mean,
No,
um,
not at all.
in my notes, also have that you did a little basketball too. But
Yep.
obviously you didn't pursue the game of basketball because you had a huge future in the game of football. So, what about football do you love the most?
You know, I love the physicality of it. Just love the team aspect of it all, and how so many different pieces have to be, basically playing as one. And it's just always kind of that first love.
Yeah, so growing up there in South Dakota, who are you a big fan of? I'm trying to think like who would you be a fan of in that general vicinity? Would it be like would you be a Vikings fan? Is that kind of how like the geography would work?
Yeah, so definitely a lot of Viking fans in the area. I personally grew up a Chicago Bears fan. I was just fell in love with that defense. I was watching Devin Hester return kicks and punts all the time. I thought it was the coolest thing. So I grew up a Bears fan.
Well, but obviously that's not the guy that I mean, you could certainly be a fan of Devin Hester, but he's not even comparable to you, is basically what I'm getting after. So, I mean, as a guy that's a defensive lineman, who's played edge rusher and all there in between, is there maybe a guy at the next level who you have tried to, I don't know, maybe study his game and bring some of his game to yours?
Yeah, so especially once, around my senior, junior year of high school, the guy I really started watching a lot was JJ Watt. Um, Definitely tried to mimic him as much as I could, and I continued that into college. And continue. And I know he just retired here, but now even trying to just steal some stuff from TJ here and there.
Yeah, well, I mean, JJ Watt, I mean, in his time, when in his prime, he was the best in the league. I mean, I remember he was voted number one overall for players in the NFL one season, which is great. So yeah, I mean, if you're going to model your game after somebody, why not it be him? So cool. So coming out of high school, was it always going to be NDSU for you, man? I mean, was there any other prospects coming out of high school?
Yeah, so I mean, for my high school at the time, I mean, you know, kids going on to play, Division 1 sports and stuff really wasn't a huge thing that happened a lot. For me, going into my junior year, a lot of that was just thinking like, I'm gonna, if nothing else, I'm gonna try and walk on at SDSU and, go that route. Just not truly having really any idea how the whole recruiting process worked or anything like that, not knowing anybody that ever went through it. And then after my junior season, started getting recruited, having some, different schools like North Dakota State, South Dakota State, UNI, schools like that, started reaching out and being in contact and kind of started learning more about, some of these different teams, especially in the Missouri Valley. And, at the end of the day, I ended up choosing North Dakota State.
So decided to go out of state to the rival school, which is a little interesting. But if you're gonna go somewhere at the FCS level, it's got to be North Dakota State. I mean, obviously North Dakota State, known for its really excellent program. I mean, history there is phenomenal. You guys, it seems each and every damn year over the past decade have won a national title, which I think for the rest of the teams there in the FCS, they might be a little upset about that, but it's kind of comes with the territory when you keep winning. What does it mean to you to be a part of that history and that culture there?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that as I, now finished up my time here and kind of really can look back and reflect on, I truly appreciate it more than, what I did when I committed here as a senior in high school. Just, truly understanding more of the tradition and the culture here, and how, just that once a bison, always a bison truly sticks with you, and just the impact that this team has on this community, this state, and really this area. And then just like I said, support from former players, how willing they are to always help guys out, whether they played in the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever it was. They love doing stuff for the current team.
Cool. And let's get talking a little bit more about that defense there. So obviously you were part of that defense there for several years. How would you describe that defense overall?
I mean, it's going to be 11 dudes that are just flying around to the ball. We prided ourselves on every time someone made a tackle that when that ball carrier stood up, that there'd be at least 10 guys standing right over him. So, I mean, it's tough. It's hard nosed. It's going to have guys playing with tremendous effort. It's something we preach on a lot here.
Yeah, and it just seems like you guys continue to retool, man. You guys have a great recruitment process. I mean, you always bring in great talent. You have great coaching there. Um, Give me a little teaser, man. I mean, who there is still at NDSU that people need to know about?
As far as players are saying, or
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna give a shout out to one of my other D linemen that is a couple years younger than me, Eli Mostart, defensive tackle. He had sadly had a pretty much a season-ending injury this past fall, and but super athletic kid, super talented. I'm excited to what he's going to do here, coming at full health now next season.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are always able to put out great talent. Hopefully he'll be the next one there on the line. And then of course, you guys seem to always have like these excellent guys there on the offensive line that you're able to face like on a regular basis, man. I mean, and really it's those guys like in practice that are helping to build you up into the player that you are. Let's give those guys a quick shout out, man, because I mean I know those guys are really good.
Yeah, I'm fortunate to go against, like I said, really good offensive line play since I got here. I mean, I remember my first couple years going against a guy named Zach Johnson when I was on scout team and stuff, and I know he's been on a few different NFL teams now. Dylan Radins, who was a second round pick by Tennessee, Cordell Volson, who's just drafted by the Bengals last year in the fourth round, and then obviously now for this year's draft, Cody Mauch. So I mean, I've got to go against a pretty high level of offensive tackles.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, on a day-to-day basis, which really just kind of primes you up to be a great prospect yourself. Obviously, we thought that you are certainly worthy enough to come to an all-star game, such as the Hula Bowl. Um, so you got that call. You got that call. I believe it was actually for me. I'm trying to remember because it's been a while. But let's go ahead and just kind of give some highlights of like that week, whether it be the call, the flight, or anything else in between.
Yeah, so something that I just really enjoyed was, for me, like, because my season ended that weekend before the Hula Bowl was going to start, and obviously my season didn't end the way that we were hoping it would, and so just being able to go out and turn back around and get back into another basically week of practice and prepared for a game again to get my mind off that. But then just being able to kind of meet some of the other guys, especially some other FCS guys that played against or heard of, and just kind of get to hear how different programs do it around the country.
Yeah, we tried our best to bring in as many FCS All-Americans that we possibly could. Obviously couldn't get them all, but we got a good chunk of them. Um, so about that week, I mean, a lot goes on during that week. I mean, like you said, you get a chance to meet a lot of great players across the league that maybe you have or haven't played with. But also during that week, I mean, you're having a chance to actually sit down with some NFL scouts and have some interviews for maybe for the first time. How'd those go?
Yeah, so I mean, that was kind of like you said, first experience getting some NFL interviews and stuff done, and I thought they all went really good, the ones I had, and really it was just kind of like a nice experience, just kind of set up for this whole process of talking to teams.
So I don't want you to tip your hand too much, but give me a sense as to how many teams you actually talked to at the end at the Hula Bowl.
Oh, trying to think. I want to say I talked to like 6 or 7 or something like that by the end of it. So, um, you know, very good amount of teams.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of people already know you. And oftentimes those interviews are literally, hey, give us some of your background, yada yada, like that sort of thing. Um, Interestingly enough, man, we actually invited you to the Hula Bowl as an edge rusher, because that's more or less what you had been playing there at NDSU. But seems like since your pro day, things have been switched up a bit. So let's talk about your pro day, and then of course the other. So go ahead and give me some of that info.
Yeah, so kind of surprised people showed up to pro day weighing 295, which was my agent's kind of plan all along to add some weight after the season, and surprised some people weighing in at that, and then I think I surprised some people with still how well I was able to move at that weight. Um, so I think that really kind of helped me here in the long run. And the goal was just to basically make myself a little more versatile to teams. Basically come out and say, hey, this kid can play defensive end, but also he can play 3 tech for you too.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as if you couldn't shed that weight again, maybe be that edge rusher, um,
Mhm.
play some D tackle, play some 3 tech. I mean, I think that that would really help you out. I mean, honestly, man, when I saw all that, I at first I'm like, oh damn, he's 295 pounds. That sucks. But then I'm like, wait, you know what? That's not that bad of a deal. Because look at some of these numbers for a guy who's 295 pounds. I mean, he's running a 4.940. He's able to bench press as many bench reps as you would like at all these other guys. I mean, all the other, drills that they put you through, I feel like you matched up fairly well, would have been just fine there, even if you had gotten an invite to the combine. You really would have stood out. So, how did you get there, man? Give me a sense as to your development.
Yeah, so right when I kind of got out to Southern Cal where I was training at, and the weight process or the weight gaining process was kind of kicking in. I was just kind of eating the meal prep that they had for me, and followed that diet. And then I would sneak at night and stuff. I would start sneaking, or not sneaking, but adding Greek yogurts and mixing it with peanut butter and stuff like that. Just different ways like that at night, just to kind of add some more calories there right before bed. And it really didn't seem like I was doing a lot, but then just as the weeks went on, all of a sudden it was well, I was 284 there, and then it's 286, and before you knew it, I was at 290, and just kind of kept going and got to 295 comfortably and felt good at it, and let it roll for pro day.
Cool, man. I mean, it's nice to hear that progression. It is also a little interesting how you had decided to gain weight, which I don't think that's that bad of a deal, honestly. I think you weighed in at about 280 at the Hula Bowl. So
Yep.
15 pounds, I mean, at first glance, might have been a bad thing, but it was planned, people. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. So, um, Spencer, give me a sense for the type of athlete you are now versus the whole change, man. Just kind of going back to that first practice there, your first day there at NDSU. I mean, over the span of 5 or 6 years, how have you grown the most as a player?
Well, I mean, if we want to just talk literally grown, I think I came in here at the North Dakota State at like 230 pounds, or maybe it was a little more than that coming into my first fall camp. So just to go from, like I said, 230 to, basically 300 pounds now, it's just, it's something I never really thought I would ever end up doing. So it's been kind of cool to see the change that way. And then just really how much I've grown as a player here. NDSU does a really good job at coaching guys up, teaching them to be smart football players, truly teaching them the game and, the whys of everything. So just my football knowledge, I feel like, has really expanded in my time here, as well as my abilities on the field.
Yeah, and I mean, you're being coached up by the best. I would put NDSU up against almost any program. Let's just be real. I mean, you guys have a great program, great coaching staff, who knows how to develop guys, man. I mean, they can take a 230-pound guy and make him into a formidable player. I want to say Cody Mount came in pretty similar too, didn't he? Like around the same
Yeah,
size. So, I mean,
yeah,
kind of interesting how they're able to feed you guys. So, I mean, I want to know what they feed you guys there at NDSU, but no, it's all right. We don't have to get into that discussion right now. But anyhow, you put together a solid resume. I mean, obviously, being part of a winning program, had yourself a great season this past year. Checking my notes, 9 sacks, 17 and a half tackles for loss. So some really good numbers your past season, putting you in good position as a prospect, man. So as we kind of reflect a little bit on your time, what are you going to remember most about you as a collegiate player?
yeah. So that's actually something I kind of get asked a lot, and a lot of people think it's always, going to be the championships and stuff like that. But really, it's just going to be kind of just it's going to be like our off-season workouts with the teammates and the guys and stuff like that, and just kind of going through those dog days of summer, and truly just kind of going through the grind of everything, and everyone working towards a common goal there, to play for national championships at the end of the year. So it's just going to be that whole process and time spent with the guys I want to miss the most.
And out of all those awards and accomplishments and such, I mean, which one are you most proud of?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm usually not one to always hang my hat on accolades and stuff, but the one that probably ends up meaning the most to me is just probably the All American awards that I've gotten, or honors that I've received. So after this past season, just coming off my ACL, and just really kind of proving to myself and to everyone else that I could still perform at a high level after the injury, and so really that one's going to mean the most to me.
And of course, also I got to mention at least at one point or another, and I can't remember for how many seasons, but I know you were a team captain for a while, right?
Yep, was voted team captain this season, and that's another huge honor. I mean, when guys from NDSU, you look at the guys who've had that honor in the past, and there's some really big names involved with that in NDSU history. So it's another tremendous honor.
Yeah, I mean, people got to know that, dude, you bring the whole package. I mean, let's be real. I mean, you got the size, got the athleticism, and really, honestly, dude, I would draft you. I wouldn't wait until the end of this thing is over. I would draft you. As soon as I felt you were totally worthy. And I do believe you will actually get that call on draft day. What are you going to be doing on draft day? How are you going to be spending that time?
Yeah, so I think we're gonna have some friends and family over to the farm, and on Saturday we're just gonna be kind of all hanging out, waiting to see what happens, whether it's a phone call for a draft pick or an undrafted free agent, whichever ends out playing out. But yeah, I'll just be back home.
Well, maybe do a little barbecue, have those family members over. Um, but bro, let's not sell you short, man. I mean, someone's gonna be calling you. I don't know what team it's gonna be, but some team's gonna call you. So before we wrap up, I do want to get to a couple of quick things. For people that don't know you, as a person outside of being an athlete, what do you think people need to know about Spencer Waege? I mean, that person. I mean, anything about you that you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, outside of football, I'm pretty quiet kid, keeping myself with a lot of things. Like I said, I grew up a farmer, so that's been always kind of my passion. Love being around, whether it's cattle, farm equipment, just anything like that. That's a huge passion of mine outside of football. I actually collect and restore old tractors and stuff for fun. So just kind of into some stuff like that.
He's like, my best friend is a cow, man. Are you kidding me? Um, I don't know. That's just a kind of a joke, obviously. Yeah, I mean, I do feel, you get this farm boy. I love farm boys as you know, as football players. I mean, I'm not joking when I say that. I mean, you get the hardest damn workers there are, because they know how to do it on a day-to-day basis. And so, buddy, I want you to give your pitch to all these NFL teams, man. Tell them why you need to be drafted and actually be a part of their franchise. So go ahead and give us that.
Yeah, I mean, whoever is going to end up giving me that phone call, I mean, really, they're just going to get a hardworking kid that, work is all he ever is all he's ever known. How to be physical, everything like that. You're going to get someone that's going to play with great effort every snap, and just someone that's going to come in and work his butt off every day.
Yeah, and we've talked about it. I mean, you have put yourself into a position where you're adding more versatility to your game. I mean, you can be that D tackle and anything that teams want you to do. I know that if you if they ask you to cut weight a little, a little bit, I'm sure you could do it. You can go out there and play like some 4i or something. So I mean, it's not that big of a problem. I know you can do whatever teams ask you to do because you're a hard ass worker. So. But Spencer, really appreciated you being at the Hula Bowl. I feel like you represented us very well. But I also want to just kind of wish you the best of luck in this process, man. All right.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, and thank you again for giving me that opportunity at the Hula Bowl.
No problem, man. I would do it again in a second. So, all right, guys. Spencer Waege, defensive lineman, North Dakota State Bison. Check this guy out.